Today we're talking about an INFJ shortcoming that nobody's talking about because it's not something that's obvious. And it still is probably the one thing that is keeping you back the most. And I want to share that with you because, I don't gatekeep. Because once I understood this concept, I was able to move differently. I was able to experience life differently and leaving people and situations that weren't meant for me that I held on to forever. So before we get started, just a quick reminder, the next INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp is launching July 20th. I hope you're all there. We're going to have a free masterclass. Join the waiting list to get access to the early bird price and download the free poster to get an overview what the topics are all about. I really want to see you in those live calls. I want you in that community. It's an amazing experience and I can't wait to see you there. So everything you need to know, you can find in the links in the description. So the metaphorical drum rolls, please. So the shortcoming that I'm talking about is the fact that we can't make stone cold decisions. And listen to me because this is super important. Don't disregard it because it's like, oh, everybody knows this. No, I'm talking about something specific here. If you look at it from an MBTI standpoint, our third function is the one area that is a weakness that we overestimate ourselves in. So we as INFJs believe subconsciously in many ways that we're mainly introverted thinking when we're not. Other people might think they're extroverted sensing and they're not, for example, ENFJs. But why is that a problem? The problem is that if we allow people into our mind, and this is what I'm talking about, into our mind, we allow their energy to enter our sphere, we're going to have a bias. It is not possible for us to make clear-cut decisions if another person's energy, if another person's way of living, if another person's way of life, if their interpretation of life is something that we have absorbed. It's not possible. That's why so many of us stay stuck on people. That's why so many of us repeat the same pattern over and over again. When we allow other people's energy to enter our sphere, we become part of them. This is the typical thing, I'm a sidekick. When you feel like I'm a sidekick to that person because I understand everything that they're going through, you're already taking in what's best for them into consideration. And that is not a logical decision-making process, right? So we are able, in many cases, to look at the truth independent of what that person is experiencing and what I am experiencing. Or let's make it more clear, it is rather easy for us to look at this is how this person sees the situation that I'm not connected with, and that's how another person sees the situation that I'm not connected with. In those situations where we're not attached to neither one of those people, we're probably going to be able to have a way more logical conclusion of what to do. What should that person say? What should they do? How could they come together? Whatever it may be. If you have somebody whose energy you've absorbed in one way or another, right? You're connected to them in one way or another. You're attached to them. You've allowed their energy to enter your life. You're not going to be able to make a rational decision. You are part of them. And since you are part of them, their truth matters much more than your own truth. That's how it's going to feel like. And I'm going to prove that to you. So if you have another person in your life, and in theory, it doesn't really make sense that that person is somebody that you care about. So you don't really tell that to people in a way of, okay, I have somebody that I'm sort of connected with, like let's say a situationship, but it's not healthy for me on paper, but I know it is. That kind of situation. Or you have a relationship with a friend who's actually a frenemy, right? On paper, it's not good, but it sort of feels like the right thing to do. I want to stay connected to them. I feel like I'm learning something. It does feel right because they don't have bad intentions or anything like this. So any situation like this, or let's say a family member that you have an unhealthy dynamic with, I encourage you to do the following. For 21 days, cut them out. And what I mean by cutting them out is not don't talk to them. What I'm saying is cut them out of your mind. So it's not just don't talk to that person. It's also not look at old messages. It's like don't look at, if they're posting something. And the most important thing is don't think about them. So if something comes up that makes you feel connected to them, that makes you feel them, right? It's actually not even so much thinking about them. It's more like the feeling them, the absorbing their energy, who they are, that kind of connection, right? So, cut that out for 21 days. If you think about them, have a go-to thought. The go-to thought may be, what am I going to eat for lunch tomorrow? The go-to thought may be, what am I going to do on vacation? Have something ready to go. So when you catch yourself, this is what you think about. It's not enough for us to have no contact. It is what is going on in our mind, cutting that invisible cord, that energy connection. And it doesn't have to be 21 days. You will feel this already the first day. You will see that your thoughts about that person will change completely. The thoughts about that situation, is that something that is beneficial for me in the future or not, will change. And if you're in this, really cold space without them, so having cut them out, like really trained and practiced your thought to go explicitly to other things, and your opinion is still, no, that's a person I want to have in my life, I just want to change the dynamic, or everything is exactly where it's supposed to be, I'm learning so much from them, I want this is getting me to where I want to go. Through that connection, my life is actually going to become better. Then it's all good. But know that you are not able to make a clear-cut decision that is unbiased. You can still make the right decision in many cases, even if you allow people in. And, that's a price and a payoff. You just have to, just balance out. Like, it doesn't mean that you have to cut out every connection to another person ever, of course. But, really have this in the back of your mind that you cannot trust, if you connected to another person, to make a rational, logic conclusion that is not biased. It will always be biased. There will always be a human factor that comes into it. So once we become aware of this shortcoming, we can actually do things that will help us to make a clearer decision. So for example, this cutting out part. It can even be somebody that you see every day at work, but cut them out emotionally. Think about something else every single time you catch yourself. This is not about them knowing that you think about them. This is not about them seeing it, feeling it. This is not about you actively, doing something to have that connection. It's enough that you think about them. When you have that, catch yourself, do something else. And I promise you will get a clearer picture on what that person really represents in your life. Is this somebody that is adding to the life that you want? Is this somebody that can go on the journey of where you're going? Or is this just a great way of you to stay in your fantasy, of you to feel like there's somebody who pulls you so you're not forced to focus on your own life? And you can make such a better decision of how to proceed. Because once you've gotten to this place where you, for example, understand that person doesn't really make sense in my life, you can then catch yourself much faster when your thoughts drift into that direction and say, no, I know this is not going into a direction that I want for my future, and I can move forward. Don't expect yourself to be able to absorb another person's energy and still make logical, clean-cut decisions. Once we take that expectations off of us, once we understand that that is an expectation that is too high, we can then make better decisions because we know that this is a shortcoming, that this is something where we think we're better at than we actually are. So all we have to do is just counteract that. I've had people in my life for many years. I can think of 3 people now. So female, male, so, romantic interests, friends, whatever it may be. Dynamics that I had in my life that weren't healthy, and I just couldn't see it for a decade because I wasn't able to see the situation in a clear way. And if you allow your mind to have those shortcomings, if you can accept yourself with those shortcomings, you're going to do the things that are going to help you to make that clear decision. And once you've made that clear decision in a more unbiased space, then you can still say, oh, I want that dynamic. This is what, adds to my life. This is definitely something that is so valuable. It adds to my life. It makes my life fuller. There is a future there. I can grow while I'm having this dynamic, and this dynamic is actually helping me to grow. It's not keeping me away from growing, right? So this is the one shortcoming I really encourage you to look into, to accept it, to love you through that, and just counteract a little bit. Try it out and you will see what a difference it will make in your mind, what difference decisions you will make. And once you see the difference, you're going to be so much happier because then you know what you have to do to trust yourself even more. Remember, if you want some more help in becoming that version of yourself, building your INFJ Epic Life, experiencing everything that you ever wanted, then join our amazing INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp community. The next round launches July 20th, so make sure you're on that waiting list to get access to the early bird price. Everything else you want to know, the poster, all the information about the bootcamp, you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.